Thank you. Chair now recognizes Mr. Khanna, our friend from California.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Winfrey, as you've said to Representative Stansbury and many others, you authored the Federal Reserve chapter of Project 2025. Now, in 2016, you were on President Trump's transition team, correct?
That's right.
And do you have any role in his transition team now?
I do not.
In the Project 2025 Federal Reserve chapter, you recommend that we eliminate the dual mandate for the Fed. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And do you still recommend that if President Trump wins, he do that?
I would recommend that.
And to explain that...
It would actually require action from Congress.
But you would recommend that he pursue that policy. And to explain that, that basically means right now the Fed has a mandate to lower inflation and also to have full employment. You think that what the Fed should do is just focus on lowering inflation. In other words, would you recommend then that Chairman Powell should be raising interest rates until inflation comes to 2%?
I don't have any insight into the data that the Federal Reserve has they're using to make their decision.
If you were to eliminate the dual mandate,
correct.
Do you have a view of what the inflation target should be?
So I think it should be about 2%.
And so wouldn't
as it has been historically.
Wouldn't the natural course be that the Fed would have to raise interest rates until they hit the 2% mandate if that's the policy and if they aren't considering employment?
That's correct, but let's take a step back. The Federal Reserve has a dual mandate. Other large central banks like the European Central Bank and the Bank of England do not. They have a single mandate, price stability.
Sure, but under your
because
proposal,
because
which
it's something they can actually control.
I just want to be clear. What you're saying is a future Trump presidency, if he took your recommendations, would mean higher interest rates. I mean, you would have the Fed under an elimination of the dual mandate, basically raising rates. Meaning, if I could finish, meaning that the stock market is going to go down with the rates being raised, meaning that we're going to have a problem with unemployment if the rates keep going up, because you're basically saying that the Fed has to be singularly focused on 2%. Am I misinterpreting what you're saying?
The Federal Reserve is an independent central bank, right, that has a mandate, a dual mandate from Congress. Congress would have to change that.
But
the president has...
The whole point is you want it changed. You want it changed, and you want Trump to change it. You were on the transition team. You've written a whole paper on it. I don't understand. Yeah, it's a defensible position. I mean, I think Milton Friedman, others would want it, but the American people should know the consequences. I mean, what you're advocating is Volcker-like policies, but at a time where we have 2.8% or 2.3% inflation. And what under your proposal, and if Trump comes and listens to you, what that would mean is higher interest rates for the American people until we got to 2% interest, right? Isn't that correct?
And what happened after Volcker was the Fed chair?
I think Volcker did a great job at the time, but that was at 13%. But what you're saying is we got to swallow that medicine today, and you want higher interest rates in a Trump administration. Now, Mr. DeVore, thank you for your service. You know, they say it's statistics, lies, damn lies, and statistics. But I'm going to throw out two of them because you have so many statistics. Do you happen to know the GDP of California compared to Texas?
Well, of course, California is 60% larger, so the GDP is going to be larger than Texas.
Do you happen to know the per capita GDP difference?
It's also higher because of the area that you represent, sir, Silicon Valley. Absolutely. Chips are more expensive than oil.
Do you happen to know the real wage differential between California and Texas?
And it's marginally higher in California, although your Gini coefficient is higher than in Texas. So you have greater wage inequality in California than in Texas because we manufacture more than California does.
We could, it's 75,000 to 62,000, but why not just say they're two great states that help contribute to America's economic growth?
That's right. 1 in 4 Americans come from those two great states, sir.
Thank you.
Chair now recognizes